there's something that's of a bigger issue here, and it needs to be talked about. And it's the degree of gun violence that goes down in Austin, Texas, that no one really talks about all that much. Maybe if you from Austin, it's talked about, but I promise you, outside of Austin, it's not talked about.
Big facts, big facts, big facts. This is big facts, big facts.
It's your boy Big Mike, too big for 1G. We in the building. Big facts, we back. BTP The Realist, what's happening?
What's going on? Hey, music. What's going on, man? Big facts. What's going on with it? Brand new.
We got
what
music.
You been up to?
Brand new.
Yes, sir.
I've been doing good. You've been doing good. We all been doing good. Life's been great. We feeling real blessed around these parts. First and foremost, shout out to all the artists that's still trying to make it, and all the ones that have, all the ones that love this music, and all the ones that don't, whatever. And to the ones that do, damn sure appreciate you. Big facts, we're in the building today. We're going to be talking about a couple of things. First and foremost, all the senseless violence and all the senseless bullshit need to stop. I just want to jump on that right away. Behind that, good music that have a meaning, that have a purpose, that have a stance. We need to give it a little bit more of a chance. We're going to have to actually listen and pay attention sometimes. Sometimes the message could be there, and we're just not picking it up. So I want y'all to give my boy BTP a real good round of applause, a real big round of applause. And then backdoor, I want you to understand that we've been waiting for a long time for him to drop this new album. I know I've been waiting. He's been waiting. I've been waiting. People been waiting. Everybody around the world, they've been waiting. We got this new music, BTP The Realist, man. Tell us what you got coming up. Is it an album or is it a single?
Man, shoot, man. First and foremost, a lot has gone down since the last time we done chopped it up with y'all Big Facts podcast. We out here with a brand new single. If you ain't know, now you know. Ain't No Party. That shit's been all around Austin, Texas. That's the motherfucking anthem. Y'all go check that shit out. That is Big Facts production. All in-house. What you see, what you get, and we right there with it. It's A1 quality. I promise your speakers gonna be knocking. You play that shit in your car and you got some little thumpy, man, you go ahead and play that shit for relays when that shit come back around, or you just ride around the fucking Congress and you just chilling, you know what I'm saying? That shit gonna knock. You know what I'm saying? Anywhere I go, ride around here in SA, even, you know what I'm saying? Out the city, you know, Central Texas still, but we out the city. People looking, they like, hey, man, shit, you know, especially when that little guitar riff hits something, you know, so y'all go ahead, check that shit out, that motherfucking single. And yes, it's going to be a part of a bigger album coming out soon. But the album in which we talk about that has also dropped isn't that, but it's something that's definitely, you know, one of the bigger scoped projects, and that's Life on Wax, you know, and that's the compilation album. And we're gonna get into those two projects in great detail, you know, and that's what we really gonna be chopping it up.
That's what we're talking about today.
But kind of what you were, you know,
Life on Wax with his wax wing. And in return,
shout out.
Yeah, shout out to him. Shout out to THP, man. Thermal Heights, stand up. But also, the compilation album is separate from the single. So the single itself, that go to an album, an EP, LP, what we talking?
Shit, it's gonna definitely be an album. How that thing gonna be orchestrated to be decided, but it's definitely gonna be an album. And you know, and kind of what you was alluded to a little bit earlier, you know, with, you know, music, the message, and just the way things kind of rolling about. You know, I don't know if folks keeping up with you know, news around here in Austin parts, but you know, we like 20 plus in homicides, and what is this, like barely not even the end of April in what, 2026? And you know, and I'm out here in SA, you know, still holding things down, and you know, we see the news and things get crazy around here as well. Anybody that know, they know what's up, and you know, about the same count, you know. And I tell my girl, I'm like, you know, what's an amazing thing that's really crazy is like Austin and SA crime rate is like, you know, when you just look at the absolute, the numbers, it's like, you know, for the homicide, one of the most violent cases, it's like there, but it's like Austin's damn near half the population size. And that goes to show, which is crazy, because here in San Antonio, we sitting at over 2 million people. You know what I'm saying? Austin, right. You know, y'all projected to get to 1.3. Yeah, it's like half of that.
Right,
you know?
It's half of that.
It's half of that. So it's like, it's a lot more current, and it's a lot more around. And what you hear is a lot of what goes down in Austin, though there may be some type of dispute one way or another, it usually goes down in some type of party, bar, club type of fashion, and there's always some bullshit
Right.
that kind of come around with it. And the single, and it's a dope song. It's super upbeat, and honestly, it's upbeat in the most craziest ways, and we'll get into the production and all that here in a sec. But it's like, you know, when you listen to it, it's got a good vibe. But how my boy Big Mike talked about this subtle messages here and there that if you start to pick up, you end up realizing by the end of the night, if things kind of roll the wrong way, you might be in a predicament. And things will and that's when things, we're really gonna start diving into things, be lookout. It might be a possible visual coming out, that's exclusive with that one. But
Coming
I mean,
soon. Coming soon.
very soon, so I mean, we
Coming soon.
working, and it's really to help put a point on that. The visual, it's like how I told my boy Big Mike, we was, coordinating these things, and we were like, we could make another party song. We could sit there and, shoot out visuals, go all these clubs, hit all this shit, and you already know. It was already what we're gonna be talking
Right.
about. And but I'm like, but then what? And then what happened? And it's like, it doesn't capture the essence of really what was really being talked about, being narrated within the story of it, but also having that pointedness to where it's like there's something that's of a bigger issue here, and it needs to be talked about. And it's the degree of gun violence that goes down in Austin, Texas, that no one really talks about all that much. Maybe if you from Austin, it's talked about, but I promise you, outside of Austin, it's not talked about. And people don't really think about Austin like that per se, because people in power have done a very good job at keeping Austin's face cleaned up the best they could. And it's a situation where it's a narrative that needs to be talked about, and it shouldn't be just a figure that we get to keep increasing every other year, because that's what's happening. It's getting worse.
So
You know.
so
So
in this music, in this song that you're dropping, is the message clear or is the message within?
you got to
Is it
listen
within
to
or
it.
clear?
You gotta listen to it. You really
Right.
gotta really peep game, because in order to avoid these situations, you gotta peep game. And that's the
Right.
thing about it. You gotta really dive into the lyric of it. You gotta really follow along and listen to it. Like the beat dope, promise you that. But I'll tell you, is you listen to the lyric and you start to pick up shit, and you're like, okay, I can see where that. Okay, I can see how that shit went. So, all right, now we over here, and then man, and once everything comes together with the visual, and y'all really get to see everything's portrayed, because at the end of it, the roof is on fire, everything's just destroyed, and everything's gonna burn, and you're gonna let that motherfucker burn, because everybody's gonna let that motherfucker burn, because once one motherfucker start blasting, shit gonna just keep going back and forth, and then everybody about to burn in this bitch. It's all about to go down. You know what I'm saying? Nothing gonna be
Yeah.
standing. And
Yeah.
motherfuckers gonna end up catching shit that wasn't even supposed to be for them. And
Right.
and that's
Right.
and that's the unfortunate story sometimes in some of these situations. And it's something to talk about, because again, these things don't just happen. It's happening across a lot of different cities in the US, but Austin isn't of
I'm
exception.
glad you mentioned that. I'm glad you mentioned that because it's definitely not just an Austin thing, but it's of course we talking about our city, but first and foremost, but it's everywhere, and it's a generational thing, or it's a this thing. I don't know. Senseless gun violence definitely was in everybody's generation since the evolution of a gun.
Yep.
Um, but the magnitude and the stretch of it now is real close to the Wild Wild West, and we're not making it any better. You know what I mean? Like we're not
Hmm.
necessarily making the steps to make it better. So understanding, and as BTP just just said, peeping game and understanding your surroundings, or peeping your surroundings, or understanding how circumstances can come from something like a harmless choice or just a night of fun. You can be in the right place at the wrong time as well. So it's all of these different aspects of life that we got to start paying attention to, or these different learnings, or this different teachings, or this different way of being. It doesn't mean you have to be paranoid or on edge or ready to shoot or ready to do this or ready to do that. You don't have to be. You can still enjoy yourself and have a great time, and nobody got to know you got anything. Nobody got to know that you have that plan. Nobody got to know that you have that as a defense, not as an offense.
Right.
So we got to learn that it's just protection and not damage. Like, you don't want to cause damage in this world. You don't want to put out damage in this world. You don't want to put out. You want to put out more positivity than you do negativity, and trying to understand that protection is needed in this day and time. I'm gonna always understand that. I get that. Stay dangerous in order to keep from getting dangerous. You know what I mean? So you stay ready to keep from getting ready, and I understand that. And I understood, what Nip meant by that. Shout out Nip, where he was just,
Mm-hmm.
stay dangerous. Like, because you have to stay aware, you got to stay alert, you got to stay conscious of your being and the beings around you,
Mm-hmm.
because you never know what anyone has in their mind, and you never know how it's going to go down. But you do know that I want to go out and I want to have a night of fun. I want to have a blast. I want to enjoy myself. I want to kick it with the homies. I want to kick it with the girls. I want to do whoop do whoop. That's what you want to do. That's cool. Whoop de fucking do. But
Mm-hmm.
still, you're gonna have to be aware of your surroundings. You must be aware of what you do and how you do it, because everything in this world that you put into it and take from it has a consequence.
Exactly. And it's
So
crazy because you brought up Nip, because I
now,
remember in a
right,
few of his songs, they quote him in a couple tracks, and he's on a record talking about, in our culture in particular, and we can talk about hip hop as well and various components of it where, there's just this culture of like violence and like almost like a pride. And it's like that's something as a culture we've been meaning to get over for some time, especially within the
right.
music. And then that's when he went on to say, that's why protest music is so important. And he started talking about YG's song that he did about Trump. And and it's really just kind of, what you're producing, what you talk about is creating various type of energies. It's important to check what's really being, how people
Put
say
out into
nowadays,
the
put out there,
atmosphere.
manifested, how people
Like
say
what
nowadays.
you putting in, yeah,
Exactly.
how everybody believes in what they putting into the universe. And that's no different than when you're making music. That's no different than when you're making movies. That's no different than when you're making a commercial. That's no different even when you're writing a paper or a thesis, or or any. It doesn't matter. Like, words are powerful.
Yep.
Words are very, very powerful. And if you don't understand of what you let fall out of your mouth, can definitely damage and heal this world. So which one you want to do? You want to keep burning the whole world down? Sure, by all means. The roof is on fire and we don't give a fuck. Let that motherfucker
Mhm.
burn. Okay, cool. But somebody's gonna have to stop and pay attention before we all fuck around and get it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So
Exactly.
so it just, that's how it goes around, comes around. What goes up must come down. Like all of those great things. Yeah, right. That's the laws of the universe, right?
Hmm.
Who says the universe has to work like that? I don't know, but it does. It does. It doesn't matter how you do it. The facts are the facts. Whether you're looking at numbers or you're looking at life experience, that part right there is always right.
Yep.
What you put out here is what you get back.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
we got to change that.
Exactly.
Now,
And to always, make sure that, like you stay on the up and up, and you always make sure like where you
mhm,
going, if you were supposed to be there, you just got to really think about it. You always got to,
mhm,
I
mhm,
tell folks all the time, they talk about, oh, Austin, especially when it's festival times and all that good stuff. And I tell them, I'm like, don't go past downtown. I'm like, downtown get crazy too, but don't, venture out too far. There's only certain parts, and it's interesting
right.
because we were just looking at data for the city of Austin today at a conference I attended earlier today, and I'll tell you, they were looking at population projections, and Lord and behold, the majority of Austin is going to end up living in East Austin, like East Travis County, more or less, but pretty much
Hmm.
East Austin.
Hmm.
Everybody's going to be living there. All the job growth's going to be there. But then where's
Yeah,
there no growth? South side, there's no growth. The port of the north side, from the 2 to the 8 to the 2 4, all that, the trade, all that, none of that's growth. There's no job placement
yeah,
being created over there. But guess what's booming? Fucking domain area, and they incorporate that into Austin as well. When I was just talking to
yeah.
my girl about it, I was like, man, I remember before I went to UTSA, the domain was in Pflugerville. Like when we kind of talked about it,
I,
like it was out there. Like we didn't like like it was
it
like
seemed
Austin.
like it was.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. I'm gonna tell you about how we grew up here. you already understand it because you came in the era where it was still like that and then it changed. For me, I grew up in mostly the era of when it was just like that. So Austin is more of like a place where you would get to maybe 15 minutes out of the central area, 10, 15 minutes out of the central area, and you thought you was in the fucking country. Like for real. Like, cause so much of it was undeveloped.
Yep.
And that's why you thought you were in Pflugerville, but you wasn't. You were still in Austin. There was no domain besides the one that we have now. And that one is, it's still off of Mopac. It's still Austin. It's just that none of that was as developed as it is now. Like there was nothing out there. It was just woods. It was woods.
Right.
It was you had the nice houses in the hills that we were not allowed to go to, but I definitely go to. It was all of those places, you know what I mean, and all of those spots, and those were areas that we didn't venture into because we were from the inner city. You know what I'm saying? So when they
Right.
finally put up the domain, you were like, bro, I thought we no, you wasn't. You know what I mean? No, but you wasn't. Wilco is not far from there. Williamson County is not far from there, but no, it's still in Travis County. You know what I mean? You still seeing APD out there. So it's just it's not our perception of what Austin was and what it wasn't. Those lines were like imaginary lines for us. The realistic lines definitely stretched out further than that. Austin in each way is only about 25, 26 miles as far as Travis County is concerned. Each way, whether it's north, south, east, or west, it's only about 25, 26 miles. You know what I mean? It's not that far. You know what I mean? It's not that big. And it was never meant to have over 1 million people. And we're well over that. So we're never meant for that. You know what I mean? It's vice versa. The same thing for San Antonio. San Antonio was never meant to be well over, a couple of million, never well over 1.5 million, never over 1 million, never intended to be that.
Yep.
But they developed the way they did, and they did it right. I applaud their infrastructure because to build your metropolitan type city in such a small bowl and still have everybody comfortably living in there is bonkers to me. You know what I'm saying? Like it's crazy, but they do it. You know what I mean? Like, and they've done it, and they got strong pride in the countdown city. You know what I'm saying?
No, for sure. I mean, yeah, San Antonio's like one of the like bigger kind of like like if we talk about like the size of it, like it's like one of the bigger cities, and it's done that because of all that expansion to like 16.
All that expansion.
And if you ask anyone that's native to SA, they'll say like the real San Antonio is anything within the 410 loop. Like that's the real San Antonio.
Exactly. That's the San Antonio.
How do we talk about Austin?
I know. And Austin is something quite similar. You know what I'm saying?
Like that's not Austin. It's like, yeah, that is Austin, but it's like
it's like the other part. That's like the outside. That's it's the other part. Like we don't count that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, but
because it was number farm out here before they started building all this stuff. Like,
you feel what I'm saying?
20, 30 years ago, all this was just
absolutely,
farm.
bro. Absolutely, I absolutely remember that time. So we have same thing with Austin. You know what I'm saying? Like Round Rock, Pflugerville, Manor. Buta's actually a little further than you think. Mustang, Texas, and all of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Onion Creek. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Westlake Hills. You know what I'm saying? You got Sunset City, Johnson City. All of this. A lot of that stuff is still Austin. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just that it's been so geographically mapped off politically. Let's say that. Not geographically. That's an incorrect term. My apologies. Politically marked off of this is not Austin and this is this county. You know what I mean? And this county, like You know what I mean? So when we're speaking about how gentrification and all this crazy shit works, all of that ties into the reason why we feel like senseless violence is necessary in the geographic locations that we are living
Mm-hmm.
in. They put us in these circumstances, in these situations, these very unfair, unrealistic ass care living situations to force people out from the less fortunate and let the fortunate move in. And it puts a lot of strain and stress not only on the kids but the parents. And it trickles down. It trickles down from that
Right.
stress and pain of the parents of living and all of the above. And then it goes down to the kids, and the kids make that desperation effort to just get everything the easy way
Mm-hmm.
because they're afraid of actually succeeding because success doesn't look like what they believe success should look like.
Right.
And now we're stuck in this tunnel where you got this responsibility of hip hop to teach a generation that hasn't been taught. You have a responsibility of people that got to put out into this universe what they want in return from it.
Right.
We all want greatness. We all want peace. We all want happiness, but nobody wants to give that in order for it to return. So we're going to have to start listening to more music that gives you that thought process, that gives you that understanding, that puts you in that light, that puts you in
Mm-hmm.
that vision or um that vibe, as y'all
Exactly.
like
It's
nowadays. But
it's hip hop.
that
Hip hop is
feeling.
so unique amongst all genres because all genres have like their own protest music and like their meaning music.
Mhm,
But something about
mhm.
hip hop is like when an MC get on, and he really gonna tell you what's going on, like just with the flow of it
Well,
and just everything. Like it's something about it. Like it's
BTP, I could break that down for you right about now. But if I break that down, that's going to cause us to run into like three segments of conversation. So
Can I get the Chat GPT summary?
you feel me? Like, because we're gonna need it because and and they probably might not get it all the way right. Let's tell the truth. Because you got to understand hip hop on another level than what AI can probably feel it. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
we ain't talking about music in the sense of how you can orchestrate it from digitals or electronics or AI or any kind of computer or any kind of um, computer chip or any kind of program could actually comprehend because you can't feel it. Not the way people can, not the way it resonate with humans.
Right.
It doesn't feel the same. Hip hop has that kind of effect. So I just gave you the summary if you wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
That's 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 the effect of what hip hop has. It's a different kind of feeling. It's for some people jazz does the same thing. For some people blues does the same thing. For some people
Right.
um classical music does the same thing. For some people um opera music does the same thing. For some people um listening to drums or African beat or electric music or death metal, like it all has that type of resignation, and hip hop can actually form fit all of them.
That's the
It's
wildest
the
part.
fucking hip hop is the universal language, bro. If you want to say music is the universal language, true, for sure. But hip hop is the one that form fits everything.
Because on
So
any type
therefore,
of sound, it's amazing you say that because cadence is
come
and,
on,
and, and, and music is all cadence and time. So if
100%.
you can find the cadence and time and it makes sense, you can
Mm-hmm.
flow on anything. And then
Anything.
and then what happens when somebody start flowing on something? What everybody do? Pay
Yeah,
attention
immediately.
immediately. Like they're
It,
immediately and they on your every word.
you're hanging. You got them by a cliff note. If you know how to keep them there and keep them hanging, keep them there, keep them on it, you got them stuck on that. And now that picture is being painted. You're Picasso now. You know what I'm saying? It may not look the best, but damn it, it's beautiful. It may not sound the best, but damn, it look good. It may not even look the best. It may not sound the best, but damn, it did resonate with me. I caught what he was talking about. Hip hop can do that, and the only reason why I say that is because hip hop, in my opinion, comes from all of those genres. Hip hop comes from all of those genres. Rap, hip hop, what do they call it now? Trap, whatever other
Right,
style
right.
you want to call it. It's rap. It's hip hop that evolved from these other genres of music. You could trace hip hop back to blues. You could trace it back to the funk. You could trace it back to fucking. They was cutting, DJs was cutting freaking ballads, love ballads and shit, and turning them into cuts for fucking for rap songs. You know what I mean? Like rap is that universal language. You know what I'm saying? So, and if that's the case, if we're that big of an influence on the whole culture, on the whole world, then why in the fuck do we keep poisoning it? So therefore, I love what BTP The Realist is bringing to the table. On top of that, I want y'all to go check out that compilation album. That compilation album itself, it stands on business, man. And I want you to kind of give them a brief understanding. Give them that what is it? The chat what?
The chat GPT summary. I need take this information and give me a summary. I gotta forward this real quick. So,
Yeah,
so this compilation album, if for anybody that's ever kept up with my music over the years, and I really do mean over the years by this, you're gonna definitely see some songs that may look familiar. And
over the
what's
years. About how long?
over the years. So this compilation album, just strictly this
Hold on,
compilation
hold
album.
on. From how long? I don't know. Don't roll over the question. I want to know how long. Nah, I want to know
Well,
how long BTP The Realist
let
has
me
been
see.
rapping.
So, well, hold on. So, are we talking about the comp album? Or are we talking about in
Because the comp
general?
the comp album itself gives you an in general fucking information.
The
It
comp
gives you
album,
start to finish.
I would say the comp album definitely captures the moment where I took hip hop a lot more seriously in my regard of like my craft and really trying to
Okay.
like work with folks. Because before that, I was like writing and like kind of messing with FL and this and that. And I
Okay.
think I
So how old were you when you first started rapping then?
I first started writing when I was like in fourth, fifth grade. And I got my first crack that fell in seventh grade, and that was still a boo boo version because I still couldn't save nothing. So I would literally be sitting there making a beat, and I could export it, but I couldn't like save it and reopen it because it was just funky like that. And I
Yeah.
would sit there and I would spend like hours on end just making beats, just figuring stuff out. And I mean, ever
Yeah.
since then, I just kept rolling with it. And then once I hit high
It's about
school,
seventh grade. That's like what, 13, 12 years
yeah,
old,
I
anywhere
was
up
like
in there.
13 years old. Yeah, I was like 13 years
Okay.
old. And then I really started getting into it once my mom's passed. And that was like what was that? Sophomore year of high school. So I was like what, like 16? So then once that happened, then I really started
Okay,
getting into gear.
16 after T Lady. Okay, Lord rest her soul. God
Yeah, for
bless.
sure.
And on top of condolences, and persevered and began to start laying it on wax. That was
Laying
at
on
about
wax.
16. So you
This
could say the
yeah,
compilation album
it's
it
2011.
starts when he first began to lay it on wax. Not when he first began music, but when he first began to lay it on wax. Okay, I'm helping you put this together now. Remember, we're giving you the summary, all right? I'm trying to help you lay it on the table, baby. So when he got to about 16, he started laying it on wax, and that's the beginning of the compilation album we're talking about, right?
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. And that's the
So,
first segment of it, right? Because we got different
right?
scenes in there, right? So if we
Okay.
listening
So
to
the
all of
first,
it, it brings everything together. It gives if you listen to the scenes, the parts of the album that aren't music, you're gonna have a bit of an audio visual there that is gonna give you moments of time as the music transitions of different variations of Youngster BTP. And then with
okay,
whom he's talking to is, somebody, it could be anybody. And, if you listen
okay,
to it, there might be some, hints there. But, all in all,
okay.
it definitely, comes full circle once the alarms go off. and then that'll be definitely something you'll catch on in the last track.
That's
But
pretty dope. That's pretty dope.
it's a whole
Okay.
it's a whole and honestly, if you listen to this a podcast exclusive, go ahead and get to our YouTube channel, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're gonna go ahead and put that audio visual into a whole little mini movie scene on the YouTube channel, so y'all can go check that out. So it'll be the mini scene, no music, so it's just a straight movie cut, like something straight out of TV, and it'll be the most craziest shit you ever heard. Promise you that.
So
That's
check it
gonna
out.
be Big
You heard
Facts
it here
production.
first. You heard it here first on Big Facts. Big Facts Podcast. Big Facts Radio. I don't give a fuck how you listening to it. You heard it here first. It's exclusive. We're going to drop it on the YouTube channel. Go check us out on the YouTube channel. Big Facts got it, and we bringing it to your heart. And live. Fire. But before we get out of here, before we get ready to take out, because I want to make a great point right here. I want y'all to understand. He said scene, so we're going to go Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3, okay? Like, and I want you to know before the credits roll on this movie, this little mini docu-series, however you want to call it, because it's like an audio biography damn near. Like,
there ain't no word for it. I looked it up. There ain't no word
There ain't no word for it. You know what I'm saying? Chat couldn't come up with it. You know what I'm saying? They couldn't come up with a word for the summary. So I'm gonna tell you like this. I want y'all to go listen to it. Go check it out. It's worth the listen. It is a long listen, but it's worth the listen. I want y'all to really go check it out and go jam, because it's nothing but hits. We talking about hit after hit after hit. It's damn near like Motown. It sound like the Hit Factory. Go jam that, man. Go check it out, man. We got BTP The Realist. Your boy Big Mike, 2 Big for 1G. Y'all stay dangerous.
BIGG FACCZ.